Testing 1, 2, 3.
Let me know, and if they're there, I'll send you over.
Yeah. I mean, you could even go over you had to.
Right, exactly. Worst case, I run over there real quick.
Okay. So
I'm washing my mask. I folded.
hi there, guys.
Hi.
Oh, look at you with a little chair there.
All right. How we doing, Joanne?
I'm okie dokie. A little crazy, but I'm okie dokie.
Hi,
Hey, Joanne,
Bill.
I got a request for you.
All right.
I'm supposed to be a greeter at 2 meetings, and I've been a greeter at 1 meeting, and I was going to be a greeter at the last meeting, but you kind of, got
Oh,
on.
I jumped in. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Well,
So
you be the greeter this time, and I won't say a damn word.
and that'll be my second time. But I'm having problems with these requirements because, like it says, take attendance. We don't take attendance.
You
Do
don't,
we?
Bill, we're waiving that.
Yeah.
We're waiving attendance for this.
Yeah, because that's
But it's just the idea, Bill, behind it is that you get to know the folks. That's the real idea. So greeting everybody is another way to do that.
okay. So
Yeah.
I want to greet Clark and I want to greet you.
Well, thank
Well,
you. I'll
go
consider
right ahead.
myself greeted.
Go right ahead.
Okay. And what else do I got here? Be greeters. This will be 2. Be assigned to a committee. I still got to get assigned to a committee.
Yeah,
would you
so
like
well, Joanne, I've already had some discussions with people about this, so let me just
Oh.
throw something out to him real quick.
You go right ahead.
Yeah, so I talked to Paul Radcliffe. I think he was going to go back to Richard Pearl. We thought maybe since you've been all over the world and traveled quite a bit, maybe the World Service Committee might be a good committee for you, Bill, if you'd be interested in that one.
Yeah, I would be interested in that, something like that. Yeah, I have served, like I said, I have served all around the world. When you start talking about like Guatemala City, and I says, oh yeah, I've been through Guatemala City and never stayed there. I know.
Yeah.
We said Guatemala, but we got out of Guatemala City real quick.
Yeah. Well, we just thought with your international background and experience that might be a really good
But
committee.
you don't have to do that.
No, you don't have to.
Something else.
It's just a suggestion, and you can be on more than one committee too.
Yes, you can.
Yeah,
I know.
Clark and I do that.
Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of, actually, I got rid of, I went to another organization, had to drop out of one committee because it was just getting too much. So,
Sure. Is
So,
there something else you had in mind or were
no, that's
interested
not
in?
the international committee, that's fine. What else is there, by the way?
Well, there's
Um,
community service.
Yeah, there's local community service, I think it's world community service. It's called, there's the foundation committee, the membership committee, the administration committee, the fundraising committee. I could send you a list
Okay.
of all the committees and who the chair people are. But I think Richard Pearl is down in Mexico on vacation, I think right now, but we were going to have him reach out to you to talk about the international committee.
Okay, good.
I'm on that one too.
Yep. They're the ones that basically decide which international projects we want to put our money into and help with any grant writing and that sort of thing that needs to be done. And it's not that you have to be a grant writer, but I think Paul does most of that, doesn't he, Joanne, with your help?
Yeah, not so much the writing as much as just ramrodding it, getting all the compliance, getting, tracking it down. He's really good at that.
Yep.
And I usually help with the writing part.
Yep.
Yeah. We're in such crazy times now, Bill. It's not like we're doing our regular stuff. We're not doing the projects in the community as much. And I'm hopeful that we're going to get back to that pretty soon.
And I can't participate in the club service project because we don't have any.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything right now, not in person anyhow.
Right, that's right.
Well, just coming to the auction last week, that counts as your service project.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so I got almost everything now.
And we're looking at a community service project that would involve helping with the 47 different households that have been identified in Lincoln that are hoarders, or they've got, used cars and junk all over. And
Yeah, I'm familiar with that because our code enforcement officer had to go into one house.
That's right.
I think he was running a business. He had so many cars and so much.
He had
junk.
7 cars. I was out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and that was a big issue with our code enforcement officer. So
yes. So we were looking at maybe doing a little work with him on organizing those and adding a few volunteers. So
yeah.
Phil Boyte is here.
Yeah, let me greet Phil Boyte and Claire. Where's Claire? Oh, Claire went away.
She walked away for a minute, and
Okay.
Phil's audio and video aren't on quite yet. So.
Oh, okay. I'm excited. I know Phil a little bit.
Question is, who don't you know, Joanne?
It's not true.
Did I hear you call my name? Did I hear you say something, Joanne?
You did. Hi, Phil. How are you?
I am quite well.
What a treat to have you.
Well, I tell you what, I don't get invited like this very often, so I mean, good stuff.
I find that hard to believe.
This is my second Rotary thing in about 15 years, and so
is that right?
Yeah, the last one was about 3 months ago for a group in Denver, and then I have another one in Denver in about a month. So here we are.
Well, that's not excluding. I mean, you're excluding Ryla.
Oh yeah, well Ryla. Well, I didn't get to do it this year, so yeah.
Neither did I. So that's how I know Phil is. By the way, is from Ryla. He's an awesome, wonderful guest speaker.
Well, I think I'm the only one anymore, so that makes it a lot easier to be awesome and wonderful. But thank you, Joanne. Is that Chris Wyatt in the shadows over there?
Yes, I am in the shadows, Mr. Phil. How are you?
I am quite well, thanks.
Good, good.
So let's greet Chris, Stan, and Jan.
Hi.
How are we doing?
Just fine, thank you.
Chris, you're against a window, so we can't see you.
Yep, that's the way I like it.
Okay, no problem. I'm not going to question that.
Looks like you got a haircut.
Yeah, I got a wall cut this time. I wanted it a little bit shorter. I'm tired of the long hair in the face. It doesn't work for Zoom because when you're like this and it's like this, Also, I'm an accountant too because you're always down like this, and I always kept the hair in the front short.
Good thinking.
Okay, who's missing? Claire's not here. No, she's. Oh, well. We got a minute of silence here. How you doing, Stan?
Doing good.
That's good.
Yep.
Glad to hear that.
So I heard a little bit of news this morning on the DLA meeting. The House of Oliver guy is apparently going to make an announcement this week about taking over Bierman's.
Really?
Yeah, pretty exciting.
Chairman's what?
That's a brave guy.
A Bierman's building across from the Bierman Plaza.
Okay.
Yes, he is.
I thought you.
So
Mr.
it's a really
Hi,
important,
everybody.
a really important piece of real estate downtown. It kind of anchors things and very,
Yeah.
very important. So we're excited to have somebody moving in there.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And it sounds like somebody might be moving into the old gun shop location. And it sounds like it might be a brewery. And I'm
Wow.
darn excited about that.
That's Paul.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Paul.
Graciela.
Yeah. Hi,
and
Dan.
Thank you for helping me with Lori as far as the bracelet that was for the auction and everything. It wasn't sold and I wanted to buy it.
Yeah,
So
no, you're very welcome.
Thank you. It's supposed to arrive at the house tomorrow, so thank you.
Awesome.
Okay,
Great.
that was exciting.
We'll look forward to seeing that.
Josh.
Hi, Josh. I got a great report on your smoked salmon. Said it's delicious,
Excellent.
Ooh.
fabulous.
That's what I like to hear. I just got my shot.
You did? How did you do that? You're too young.
Egg worker.
Yeah, ag.
Oh,
So my wife got it too. We just got our shots. So
cool.
Good.
I'm happy.
Yes, that's not nag, it's ag.
Sometimes I'm an ag.
So is that one of the first one, or did you get the new one that you
No,
just
that's the
need?
first. So now we gotta
Okay.
wait 28 days. It's the Moderna one.
Got it.
28 days. So
Where did you get? Where did you get it?
at Placer County at the fairgrounds.
Okay,
Awesome.
It's called the grounds now.
the ground.
Super well done. Like
That's
it was like clockwork. They say, wait in your car, you go park. It says, wait in your car until it's your time. You go up, you show them your ID. There's probably 35 stations with 2 people at each station giving shots. And we were in and out and they have a waiting area. It was perfect.
Wow.
Very well done. Very ventilated.
I stood in the line for 20 minutes in the rain there,
Oh,
Oh, wow.
pouring rain. But it was worth it.
Yeah.
I went to
No,
Cal
definitely.
Expo and I didn't even have to get out of my car. That was the best. You open the car door, give you the shot, and shut the door, and put a timer in your car, go to the parking lot for 15 minutes. It was great.
That's how Kaiser did flu shots this year. Didn't even get out of the car. Boop, you're done.
See, healthcare is learning how to do things because of this.
Yeah.
There's only one
You're right.
option, really.
Very true.
Joanne, where were
Hey,
you
Bill.
talking about a brewery going in?
Yeah,
In the, what
Go
used to be
green,
the,
Bill.
yeah, I get a chance. Okay, so I
I
said,
know.
I greeted Josh, Karen, welcome. Alan, welcome.
Thank you.
Rema, welcome. Who else? Claire, I didn't get a chance because she left. Oh, she's back
I'm
again.
here.
Okay. Paul, I did. Chris, yes. Okay, so I'm pretty much caught up.
Bill's our greeter today, so I just want to make, we get chit chatting here so much, but we're trying to get this guy's blue
Anyway,
badge as
Joanne,
soon as we
answer the
can.
question where I didn't hear what you
Yeah.
said.
I'm trying to be quiet,
Oh.
Claire, because I'm not the greeter. So
well,
the
who
answer,
cares?
the question is, where the gun shop used to be.
Oh, and you heard about the
Brian,
Oliver's
Brian?
Kitchen or Oliver's Place or something going in?
House
the
of Oliver
Bierman's?
going in Bierman's, yes,
Yeah,
excited
yeah.
about that. There's gonna be a
Yeah.
pub downstairs and a steakhouse upstairs.
Yeah,
Ooh, yeah.
when's it gonna happen?
Don't know.
Just like everybody.
Joanne,
Did you by any chance go to the,
Joanne, what's the name going into the Bierman's?
It's, I don't know
House
if
of
it's gonna be
Oliver.
called, I don't
Oh.
know if it'll be called House of Oliver, but it is, the guy, his name is Oliver and he owns House of Oliver. House of Oliver.
Okay.
So welcome to Jerry, Brian, Christine.
Hey, Bill.
Christine,
Hey,
Christine, are you mad
hello.
at me because I beat you up at the, with my finger on the tree?
I'm sorry,
I
I
think
didn't hear
so.
what you said.
Are you mad at me because I beat you with my finger on that tree with the gift certificates?
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, you just were,
I had my finger right on the.
That was pretty,
it was pretty darn close.
that
It
was pretty
yeah,
good,
I was
Bill.
like, oh,
Yeah,
That
you
was sort
swooped
of
in
a-
there.
Russian roulette.
Yeah,
for
and
me.
he only bid once, right, Bill? I think
So I lose once, I
yeah,
just went
yeah,
the end.
yeah, yeah. Wow.
Look,
How's
Brian's on
everyone
a
doing?
boat under the Golden Gate.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been hanging out here.
Your arms are tired from rowing.
Yes.
Lot of
Typically, I
current.
wouldn't recommend hanging out under
Yeah,
the bridge.
I'm
There's
trying
some-
to stay in one spot.
Yeah, hanging out under bridges, there can be some unsavory characters, so just be careful.
I almost made a joke along that line, and I thought, no, I'm staying away from it. Wow. How's everyone doing? All these smiling faces.
Happy
Love
as
it.
can be. I got my Hawaiian shirt on.
I see.
have you
Oh,
made
yeah.
reservations for Hawaii yet?
Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
gonna ask
we're
the
gonna-
same.
We're gonna get it booked today. We've been going back and forth. I thought the guy was in Hawaii. Every time I called, he'd never answer. I finally talked to him today. He's in Florida. That's why he's never. And he didn't hear anything about COVID. He was wondering what I was talking about with COVID, and it was a good place
So
to be.
Josh, did you see the list of places you can go?
Yeah,
'Cause yeah, good,
Yeah.
because I don't think the one they advertise is the best.
actually, it is.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, there's one that's better.
Bring it to me.
4 out of the 6 of them don't
Bring it
have
to me.
AC at all.
Don't have what?
They don't have air conditioning.
Oh, well, you don't have to have air
I only
conditioning in
have
Hawaii.
two of them have air
We
conditioning.
had a house there for 18 years. We didn't have air conditioning.
Yeah, well. my-
Joanne, you're just
My
tougher than the
mother-in-law's
rest of
going and
us.
my wife's going, so we gotta have air conditioning.
You know, you got the trade winds. That's all you need.
That's what they said. If it was a guy's trip.
I don't know.
Josh,
Depending
are
on
any
when
of
you
them,
go.
You wanna
Josh,
have
are
those-
any of them on the water?
Yes.
Oh, I want to be on the water.
The one I would recommend doesn't have AC though, so we're not going there. And they do have
Oh.
3 bedrooms available for 109 extra a night.
Ah, okay.
So today's been awesome. We're getting our Hawaii trip booked, and we got our COVID shots today. So this is an awesome
Oh.
day for us.
So
Aw.
That
what
is
if-
good news.
why is it
We're not
Hawaii
the happy
doesn't have-
happenings yet.
Again.
I'm preemptive. I'm in a
Yeah.
good mood.
Preemptive.
I can see light at the end of the tunnel. I'm gonna leave my house
Yeah.
Josh, where did you get your shots?
at the grounds in Roseville.
Oh, okay. So did you have to have a reservation or you just got in
Yeah,
line?
went
Oh,
on
okay.
went online, and essential ag worker. That's how we got in.
Oh, gotcha.
So,
Oh, okay.
but it's really well run.
And your wife too?
Yep.
So what's
Yeah,
it
it'd
called?
be the whole family.
How did you get essential what worker?
Ag.
I'm
Agricultural.
essential for ag work because we deliver to farmers diesel.
Oh. I see. You
All
snuck
right.
in.
Well, why don't we go ahead and get started? And Josh, since your voice is already warmed up, would you mind leading us in the pledge today?
You're just lucky I have pants on. Yes.
Yeah, we're all lucky. Thanks.
Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of
flag
the United States
of America,
and
and
to
to
the
the
republic
republic
for
which
which
stands
stands
one
one
nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
Justice for all. All right. Thank you very much, Josh, and thanks for wearing pants today. Appreciate that.
We set a very low bar.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Let's see. How about Bill? Would you mind leading us in the four-way test?
All
Which
righty.
bill? We got three bills.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Bill Lobby. Sorry.
This one. The four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First, is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Second,
Is it
Fair
fair?
or
All
concerned?
concerned.
third, will it build
Build goodwill and better friendships.
fourth,
Will
have
it be
fun.
Be beneficial
beneficial?
to all concerned.
Oh, excuse me.
Fifth.
Yes, fifth, have fun.
It'll be
It'll
fun.
be fun.
All
I jumped
right.
the gun.
All right.
Right.
Have fun. All right. Thank you very much, Bill and Josh. Appreciate that. All right. Alan, you have a poem for us today.
Yes, I do. March is Rotary Water and
Uh-oh.
Sanitation Month.
Is
I'd
Alan-
like to share with you a poem that recognizes Rotary's accomplishments. It's called No Longer Lost and Confused. Once a little raindrop floated from the sky and landed in the middle of a gentle pond. It rested on its surface at peace with the world. But then debris tossed from the shore and pollutants coming from all directions landed and vied for position, creating putrid smells and turmoil in this once tranquil body of water. Shaken by this turn of events, the little raindrop quivered and felt lost and confused. The sky blackened and rumbled as if angered by the disorder below in the rippling waters. Distressed, the little raindrop spun in circles around the lily pad and sought protection from the eerie presence above while trying to avoid the pollution flowing without mercy about it. Tortured by the situation, the little raindrop prayed for help and the return of tranquility to the water and land surrounding its new home. It wondered if people understood what their carelessness and insensitivity was doing to a once marvelous planet. Would they be willing to change their ways, or was all hope lost? But then a wisp of light filtered through the dark clouds, bringing hope and the possibility of change. Governments, leaders of private organizations, and service clubs such as Rotary made efforts to improve environmental conditions. These entities promised aloud clean water, a basic human right, would no longer be denied. By 2030, the United Nations goal, safe drinking water for everyone, would be achieved. Rotary members committed to reaching the water and sanitation goals through projects like building wells, installing rainwater harvesting systems, and teaching community members how to maintain the new infrastructure. During March, Rotary Water and Sanitation Month, Rotarians celebrate the commitment to create healthier communities by supplying clean water and sanitation facilities to lessen pollution and to prevent the spread of infectious diseases. And so today, a new glow upon the water portends a brighter future. No longer lost and confused, the little raindrop breathed a sigh of relief and believed it would one day be at peace again. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you very much. All right. Any visiting Rotarians today? I didn't see any in the lineup here. How about guests? I didn't see any guests today. I know Phil, and we'll introduce you in a little bit.
I do have my daughter Heather sitting next to me.
Ah, hi, Heather.
Hi, Heather.
Hey, Heather.
She's gonna have to get closer to you because you
Hi.
can't see it.
Get down where you can see her face.
Oh, sorry.
Hi.
All right.
Hi,
Oh,
Hey
Heather.
guys.
Hi, Heather.
She's still talking about those Disney tickets.
Any birthdays today? No. How about anniversaries? Any anniversaries out there? No anniversaries, birthdays. Okay. All right. How about happy happenings? Anything going on with everyone that they want to share?
Josh?
I'll bet you Karen's awfully happy the auction's over.
I am very happy the auction's over.
That's for darn sure.
Too.
And it was successful.
sure.
Great job, Karen.
Yeah, yeah.
It
it
was
Lot of
was
work.
fantastic.
Committee,
A lot of
committee
work. Oh,
A
yeah,
lot
but
of
Karen, you were Herculean.
I can't
Thank
believe
you.
you really pulled that off, I have to say.
You can't believe
Yeah.
it?
I mean, I can't
Oh.
believe it, but I'm just saying you really pulled it off. Good job.
So, but I
Yeah.
have a question about it. Did we actually do better doing the online thing than we did running all 3 events? I feel like we made more doing the event than doing the 3 events. Is that?
Well, it's a little deceptive, the 28,000, because it's really, we didn't really make 28,000 because you got to subtract back out the things that we're paying for, like the Hawaii trips
Oh, okay.
and the jewelry and the things like that. So I think when we come up all said and done, we'll make about 18 to 20,000.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. So that's when we had a really, really, really good Italian taste of Italy. We made 15, No, 18,000.
We made 18 one year.
Yeah, we I think our low was 12, high was 18,
Yeah.
something like that. Wouldn't you say, Claire?
Yeah.
And so that the thing is that the key on all of these fundraisers is to get sponsors. And so we had 2 sponsors, one for 1,000, one for 2,000. And so that helped. And I think that we'll be pushing next year, whatever we do, whether we do something like this live or over the internet again. And in the Tour de Lincoln, we'll be pushing our sponsors a lot more. And so I think we'll be able to pick back up. And between the 2, I think we can have a good income from that to, we only have to have 2 fundraisers a year. But people will be talking about that and making that decision. And it's possible that next year, maybe the club can get some money to foundation to bring it up to a level that would be really good for Christine, or we split a little bit of the Tour de Lincoln monies that are made next fall into her year and the following year, since we only had 1 fundraiser this year. So those are things to be discussed as a group. But I'm very proud of the committee and what all we did and how much we made and how much the people stepped up, Rotarians and all their friends stepped up. It was good. We were all nervous about it, but it went well. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, I have to say that I was thoroughly impressed with the way that you and your team really rallied around pulling something like this together. And then I really enjoyed the event on Friday night, sitting there watching the banter back and forth in the chat box. And then Tony just kind of kept things rolling. And I thought that was good too. I actually have to say, I was surprised when it seemed to go so fast. I had a thought that maybe it would seem to drag on a little bit and trying to do something like this via desktop or laptop. And, but it went, I thought the flow of it was good. And I was surprised at the end, just how, we were on for what, an hour, just over an hour. And I was surprised at how quickly that time went. So,
yeah.
I didn't want it to end. I just didn't want to spend any more money.
Sure, exactly. But if you missed it, you missed quite an event. And really, Karen and the entire group deserves a huge thank you and a huge pat on the back, if you will, for the job that they did. Especially, it was such uncharted territory for us. So nice job, all of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank the committee.
And maybe it is something we can do in the future too. So we'll see. All right. Anything else that anyone wants to share with the group? Okay. I got a couple of things I want to bring up quickly before we go on to some committee reports. I'll forward an email that I got from Rotary International. It's Rotary International COVID-19 Task Force Update. And And on March 9th, from 5:30 to 6:45 Pacific time, they're going to have an update on what they're doing. There's Anne Marie, who's a physician and epidemiologist, will be on talking, as will Pat. I don't know their last names, but Pat, who's an executive director with Project Patient Care. So I'll forward that in case you have a desire to listen into that. Also, want to say that we got a couple of thank yous that I wasn't able to sneak in last week when we were together, but I want to bring these up. One is from the Shelter Box, thanking us for the donation to help families displaced by disaster. So that was from Bill Tobin, right?
Tobin, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. So they sent us a thank you, as he usually does when we send a donation. And then we got a nice thank you also from Susan. And if you'll recall, we donated a Paul Harris Award to her for all the help that she did for us after she had already left the treasurer position and moved on to Arizona. And then she helped us with some stuff. And so she says that with gratitude to you and the board of directors and the club members, that she has been blessed with that Paul Harris Award. It's a third for her. And then she's grateful for those of us that were able to join in, because we were actually online at their meeting to present to her. And she goes in to talk about how different things are for her there, because she moved there and they almost immediately went to, oh, thank you, Clark. And then she almost immediately went to the virtual meetings.
Yeah.
So she hasn't really had a chance to get to know personally some of her new her new fellow members at her new club. But she was very thankful and gracious for us remembering her in that way. And as you can see, love and hugs from her and Calvin. So, and hopefully she'll be able to come and visit us sometime when things are back to more normal. So those two things I wanted to go through. And then I may have already stated this in the past, but I'll reiterate it. And that is that if we ever have a need for a quick turnaround on a check or some sort of form of payment, especially from the foundation, Graziella will turn a check around pretty quick. But if needed, so it came up recently where someone needed to send in a donation, and I guess they were down to the last few hours in the day of being able to get some bonus points with that, some bonus dollars, if you will. And so it was made by a credit card. So Graziella does have a credit card to pay for stuff like that. Okay. The reason this can become an issue is technically we're not allowed to reimburse members for monies that they've spent. All right. And so it could jeopardize our 501c3 status. So we have to be very careful about making sure that anything the foundation pays for or donates to, that payment is directly from the foundation. Okay. So just wanted to bring that up. And that is it. So if we can go into some committee announcements. Is Richard on? I didn't see Richard in the listing. Anyone from
He's in Cabo doing research for WCS committee, I'm sure.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right.
Anyone from World Services have an update at all from anything you guys are working on? Nope. All right. Kimberly, I didn't see Kimberly on either. Anyone from Community Services?
Christine got me involved a little bit with a possible project for us community service, and that is the efforts that the code enforcement person for the city is doing to alleviate some of the houses that have excessive amounts of junk. That
It's hoarding.
It's hoarding. I was going to say, and so I went out and Christine was there, and we looked it over and said, there's, it was pretty amazing how much stuff this guy had. There were 3 big dumpsters, huge dumpsters. I mean, the ones that are like 30
Yeah,
feet
the
long
40,
or something.
40-yard bins. So yeah, so if you guys subscribe to Inside Lincoln, I did an article and did before and after photos in the article. So that should be coming out pretty soon, and it is dramatic. And so this is the first time we've done it. We have a new code enforcement officer who is super gung-ho, loves what he does. I've already talked to him about being a speaker at Rotary, so hopefully we can get him on pretty soon. But we had some great volunteers from our Adopt a Creek program, which we got started a little over a year ago. Mona Bass is kind of the lead on that. And then we had about a dozen elders or Mormon missionaries from the local Mormon church that, because of COVID, they haven't really been able to do what they normally do. So they're just looking for service projects everywhere. So they were really great. We took out over 5 tons of trash. And that does not include the tires and the 3 or 4 dilapidated vehicles that got hauled off.
I think he said we're at 7 vehicles
in
his front
So
yard.
needless to say, pretty much at some point during the day, every single one of the neighbors, within 2 or 3 houses came down and was hugging and saying thank you. And it was a very dramatic impact on this neighborhood.
Christine, how do you sign up for that Inside Lincoln?
It's on, I think it's on the website.
I'm looking right now.
I can't find it.
I get
You
a
sign up
question.
for the e-bulletins.
Is that what it is? It's
Yeah,
under
it's
sign up for the
inside
e-bulletin.
E-bulletins that come out every day.
I've got a question for you. Maybe you know this, Christine. So I've seen shows like this, but never, participated in anything like this. The person that lives there or people that live there, what's their reaction, and how do you handle that?
Well, so we obviously can't do it unless we have their consent. And so I have a very detailed consent form that they have to sign.
Okay.
Authorizing us, number 1, to be on their property, number 2, to dispose of their property. And then all the volunteers have to sign waivers, indicating they're going to be exposed to all kinds of stuff. And if they get hurt, they're volunteering.
Okay.
But so we've had, it hasn't been, there you go. So this is our first one. We had a second one that was scheduled for next week that we had to cancel because the gentleman was involuntarily put in a mental hospital. So obviously getting consent on that one is going to be a little more challenging. So we're kind of putting that one on the back burner until his son, who is applying for power of attorney, can kind of take over, because his son's totally on board.
Okay.
So we have there's a big process that goes into leading up to it to make sure that it's informed, educated consent, and that we have permission to be on the property.
Okay. Yeah, because
we also have, I'm also working with the Lighthouse to get some mental health professionals that can engage with the individuals if the need arises. So we're kind of trying to work that component into it as well.
In this case, the guy who owned the house was very happy about it.
He was
kind of
thrilled.
relieved.
Well, it's funny, I guess, because I know I would be if all of a sudden I had all this stuff and I had to get rid of it. And to have that kind of help to get rid of it would be fantastic. But I can only imagine that for that people that do hoarding, there's probably a huge emotional attachment to that stuff, right?
It is.
Anyway.
It's under DSM-3. It is a diagnosable mental illness.
Okay.
So what we're looking at is maybe partnering with the Mormons or some group that has some muscle that are, and we could do some of the organization part of it and help with that. Because not all of us are going to be able to go in there and pull out this really heavy, yucky stuff.
Sure. Okay. Well, cool. Look
Ryan,
forward to hearing more
put
about that.
I just put the link to in the chat. You may have seen, if you see the chat button on your screen and you click on that, there's the link if you want to sign up for the city's e-bulletin.
Yeah, thanks. I just did that.
Okay.
Oh,
Brian got hit by a boat.
I
Oh,
clicked
there
on
he
the
is.
link
Thank
and I
goodness.
lost you guys. Okay, there we go. All right. For your benefit, I'll wait till afterwards to go ahead and sign up for that. All right. Chris, anything with youth?
Yeah, it's not necessarily with Rotary and youth, but just to let you know, football is going to be having their first football game this Friday night. We're very excited about that. And I want to do a huge shout out to Lincoln Urgent Care. They are taking a van to the field, I think it's even today, to test all of our football players. They're the only sport that has to be tested because of contact. And he is lowering the cost to 1/3 of the cost for each one of our football players to be tested. So that is huge, because otherwise we would be paying, I think it's about $60 for each player. When you figure, say 100 players, that's a lot of money for the school district to shovel out. And then they also talked about doing the one that's free in Roseville, but a lot of our kids can't get there. So that would eliminate a lot of our players from getting down there. So far, so good. And that's kind of, other sports are getting going. Baseball had their first game last week. Well, not a game, scrimmage. And kids are just getting excited. We're looking at graduation really happening. It'll probably be split up into different groups of graduates so that their parents can be there at the field. So it'll be limiting, but it's better than what we have been dealt with.
Yeah. Some things moving in the right direction.
Yes, absolutely.
Chris, it's Jan. Chris, are you talking about Dr. Eric Ellis of Urgent Care? He came as a speaker to our club.
Right.
Right. Great.
Thank you. Oh, great. Very cool.
And there was one more thing that tentatively, it looks like we may have a RILA camp this year. It's not 100%, but they're moving in that direction, right?
Sounds like it's more than a possibility. Looks like it's very favorable. Yes.
Great. Wow. Oh, fantastic. Good news. Thank you for those updates.
Yep.
Absolutely. Clark, membership, please. Anything? You're on mute.
I was trying to unmute. There we go. Well, I'm happy to announce, maybe some of you saw that I sent out I published the name of Rich Lester. Rich is stepping in for England Baker from the Foundry and Emmaus Church. He's the pastor there. So he's completed his application and paid his dues and initiation fees. And so barring anybody objecting, he will be a member of the club next Thursday.
Great. That would put us at 49. Is that right?
I think that puts us at 48, if I remember correctly. But
numbers aren't my strong suit, so I appreciate that.
Well, they should. They should.
And you're a banker?
Take my money. Take my money.
Karen's listening.
Well, just one other quick note, not really on membership, but we are buying 2 plots at the community garden. And normally we gave those out, but the people that have been getting them because they didn't pay for them didn't really do a very good job. So we are going to try to put together a community service project. And I started a discussion with Kimberly, but she had to run. By the way, Kimberly McHugh, she told me she's doing about 17 services, I think a week right now, where she used to do like 4, or maybe that's per month. I may have the number wrong, but a year ago they were doing like 11, and the year before that there was like 5. and she only has herself and one other person. So that's why she's been so
Wow.
swamped. But she expects to get some extra help and things to, for her to have more time, hopefully soon.
Great.
So just wanted to pass that along. She's just been slammed with the business over there at the Lincoln Funeral Home.
Great. Well, thank you for that update, Clark. Appreciate that. Claire, anything on social?
Not really. My news is not as good because
Uh-oh.
yesterday they had a speaker on a forum here at Sun City, and he was one of the doctors from the California Public Health. And he said he did not anticipate, and we should not anticipate anything in large numbers for social until at least the end of the fall. So depending on what he means by large numbers, I'm going to find out, get information and call him and find out. So, but I'm still working on a couple of different ideas. So but we don't need it until end of April. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. It would be good to know where the large number.
Right. Yeah. Where they cut off.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you, Claire.
Mm-hmm.
And then Karen, anything you want to talk about from fundraising?
No, I think we kind of covered that in the other informational time.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. All right. Sounds good. There's one other thing I wanted to point out that we approved at the board meeting last week. We sent a letter to Doug Brown, I think it is, with Parks and Rec. Stan had brought to us a request to submit a letter to them saying that we would support a community garden in the new park that's over near the community center. So I just want to let you all know that we did send that letter off this week, and they're working on trying to get a grant from the state to help with that park. So we supported that as a club. Okay. Anything you want to add to that, Stan?
It's just that to be considered for the grant, they need to demonstrate a partnership with the community. And so they were needing about 20 volunteers to commit to help with the park. So I'm glad that Rotary was a part of that. Kiwanis stepping up with some volunteers, and so are the Lions Club. So between the three of us, we should be able to help them out with the volunteer needs of the park.
And this is really an exciting opportunity, because if you're familiar with the area over there, First and Joyner Parkway, I mean, it's a park desert and it's a food desert, and it's the highest per capita low income qualifier in our area. And it's really this park with the community garden, with a skate park. They're looking at perhaps a BMX track. Is really going to be a huge amenity for the young people in that area. So we are just fingers crossed, hope and praying, and that this grant comes through and that we're able to provide this to the community, because it's going to be tremendous.
Yeah, because of the design of the park, it will actually be a destination, and people will come from outside the city to use the park, because it's also has a covered play field slash amphitheater. It's a really neat design. You can go on the city's website to see it. They had a Park and Recs committee meeting last night, and they had a 3D model, which was really neat, because you could actually feel like you were walking right through the park. It's a great design.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much for that, Stan. Appreciate that. All right. Anything else anyone has before we move into to our speaker? No? Okay. Chris, will you be able to do the introduction of Phil for us today? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
It is a real privilege for me to introduce Phil. Phil and I think we were first introduced in 1981. So we've known each other for a long time. He was only 5 and I was only about 20. So yeah, I'm kidding on that. Anyway, Phil Boyte wants life to be an adventure. He has brought that adventure to his business life, to his travel life, and to his relationships. His business desire to improve the lives of young people has led him across the continent, speaking with thousands of students and educators as they transform their schools into places overflowing with kindness and respect. He believes in the power of personal stories, and that by creating an environment where people feel safe to share their story, communities will be strengthened and lives will be changed. He has created nationally known programs, Link Crew, which we have at Lincoln High School, Web, which we have had at Glen Edwards, and most recently, Breaking Down the Walls, which encourages students to share their stories, and by doing so, find out we all have way more in common than we might initially think. Phil has authored a book called School Culture by Design and is just rolling out a brand new workshop called 100 Conversations that Transform Culture. Take it away, Phil.
Chris, thank you very much. I got to tell you, some of you were on earlier, I had to change locations. You know, we always look at our background, and I was out in the living room. We're in Florida, if you know Florida, near Sarasota, a little place called Siesta Key. And we're here for a couple of weeks because supposedly I can work anywhere. And the wind came up so loud that I wasn't able to hear you guys, let alone speak in that room. So here I am in the closet, or the bedroom. So I'm guessing some of you have looked at backgrounds, and so I've got mine. But I just have to say, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm inspired just listening to your care and concern for your community. I've driven through Lincoln so many times. I grew up in North Highlands, Foothill Farms. My parents lived in Antelope for years. I went to Chico State, so I took little 65 right through Lincoln so many times from about 1980 to 92 when I moved to Colorado. And so now Lincoln's not that little Lincoln anymore. And you guys, many of you have been a big part of that shift, part of that growth and development. Now here you are talking about helping hoarders clean up their yards, helping kids get back into football season. I was just sitting here for the last half hour just smiling. And here's the truth. I think there's a lot of people that live in Lincoln are not even aware of how much you care about your community. And I just want you to know, I am just so proud of you, so pleased, because I think so many of you are happy with that. You're like, nobody needs to know. We'll put our Rotary sign up. We'll get kids to Ryla. Every year we get those kids from Lincoln High School, go Zebras, and they're at Ryla, and we love them. And because of the work that you're doing, and it's interesting because some of you know Carol Dweck's work around mindset. There's either growth mindset or fixed mindset. And what I really think is this meeting is just such a powerful example of growth mindset. You guys are continuing to see your community grow, and you just added a new member, and you're talking about this skate park that's going to draw people from around the region because it's going to be a great place. And I'm saying thank you for that. Chris and I heard a guy speak years ago at a conference. His name was Bob Moad. He was out of Seattle, and he just said, I love this quote, when you're green, you grow, and when you're ripe, you rot. Did you catch that? When you're green, you grow, and when you're ripe, you rot. We think about this. Every one of us on this screen knows someone when they retired or they lost their job or something, they just quit. Hey, it's over. And yet, I wonder how many of you are sitting here going, man, they're going to have to shut the lid hard when I'm done because I want to keep doing stuff. And you know, my dad is 86 years old and he's out with his walking sticks every day and he's living it. And some of you are like, man, I'm that old, I'm older. And guess what? It's this mindset of when you're green, you grow, when you're ripe, you rot. I don't want to rot. I'm a pup. I'm only 59. My dad tells me that all the time. He says, you don't even know what sore is, man. And we laugh. But I wonder how many you're sitting here thinking, but okay, so how do I keep growing through this COVID thing? I mean, some of you would consider yourself maybe a 60s baby, a 70s baby. Some of you are like, no, I'm a depression baby, this era that you grew up in. I saw the faces on the screen. Some of you have wrinkles and some of you think you have wrinkles. It has nothing to do with age. It has to do with the mindset we walk into it. And one of my favorite all-time stories about this little girl, she walked into a pet store in a town not so different than Lincoln or Auburn. And the owner had taped a piece of paper on the window. It just said, puppies for sale. And she walked in, Mister, how much do the puppies cost? He goes, well, they're really good puppies, but I've dropped the price to $50 each. She's like, $50. And she reached her pocket and she pulled out all of her change. She goes, I have $2.73. Would you let me look at them? The man laughed and sure, and he just whistled. Around the corner down the main aisle came this big old mama dog. And the little girl's watching. Right behind the mama dog came 7 little balls of fur. As these puppies were chasing their mama, the little girl, she's tiptoeing, looking way back. 7 puppies, but then the 8th one run and stumble. And she goes, what's wrong with the last one? Why does he keep falling? And the man said, oh, the last one was born without a hip socket. If he tries to run, he stumbles and falls, gets up. And about that time, that puppy banged into his mama. The little girl's like, well, that's the one I want right there. And the man's like, well, he's got a bad leg. Why don't you pick out another one? Little girl says, no, that's the one I want. The one with the bad leg is fine. And the man's like, why don't I just give him to you for free? Because he's going to be slow and behind. You're going to have to wait for him all the time. And the little girl, she goes, that's okay. That's okay. And the man's like, no, I'll just give him to you for free. And she finally got red in the face. She slapped her money on the counter. She's, mister, I'll give you all my money today. And I'll pay you 50 cents every Friday until he's paid for. But I don't want him if he's free. And the man's like, well, why do you want him so bad? The little girl came around the counter so he could see her whole body. And her leg was horribly twisted and held straight with a brace. She said, mister, a couple years ago, I ran into the street at the wrong time and I got hit by a car. It didn't kill me, but it just messed up my leg. And all my friends know about it, but sometimes they forget and leave me behind. She pointed the puppy. She said, if you'll let me buy that puppy and pay you on Fridays with 50 cents, I promise you this, I'll never leave you behind because, see, I can understand him. And the man looked at the little girl, looked at the puppy, and he just handed her the puppy. Said, all right, I'll see you on Friday with 50 cents. And she laughed. She said, mister, you're going to see me a lot of Fridays with 50 cents. And she turned and she walked out the door. And as she went by that sign that said, puppies for sale, the man quietly under his breath said, because she can understand him. You know, one of the coolest things in our life, regardless of what age we are, is when we have someone in our life who understands. They don't have to hear the whole story. They just see the look. And they go, yeah, me too. I get you. Sometimes we have a friend like that. Some of you are looking around this screen right now going, okay, that's him, that's her. Some of you have a fellowship, a connection with some Rotarians. Some of you, no, it's your neighbor. Some of it's family. Most of you have heard that story. If you don't have a crazy family member, maybe you're it. And regardless if they're crazy or you're it, there's still this connection that you have. Chris and I have seen each other, Chris, a couple times in the last 5 or 10 years, yet there's this connection from years way back. And there's these little things that you guys can see here. So how do we deal with this season we're in? Because some of you are like, yeah, the Black Lives Matter really spun me, or the Me Too movement, or, you know, just the whole political thing. When I saw what happened in the Capitol, or COVID, I've lost, or my business, I had this great business, and there's so many parts to this. And it reminds me that someone told me back in about April, they said, there's this thing on social media that says we're all in the same boat. They said, no, we're not. We're all in the same storm. We're just in different boats. Some people, their boats are really settled. They park in a harbor, threw the anchor down, and their income is about the same. And maybe they've had to wear a mask and not go out as much, but their life's been pretty even. Other people, their boats have been rocking. Maybe someone got pitched off. And what we realized was we might all be in the same storm, but we have a different boat. Well, as Rotarians, how can we approach that as neighbors, as friends, as family members, as colleagues, to just understand that, you know, some of us know about this little bit of someone's whole story. But what happens if we can treat people with grace and we can treat people with understanding? And I think that's the thing. So many times I want to judge. I want to go, yeah, but. Well, every time I say, yeah, but, I realize I got to kick myself in the yeah, but or would, but. And I just got to say, I want to be those people that when I walk in the room, people are like, hey, I'm glad Phil's here because there's a calm, there's an acceptance. He's not going to judge me. He's not going to shoot on me. Don't you love it when someone should on you? You're like, don't shoot on me because, hey, and here's what happens. Sometimes the people in the boats that are pretty smooth can look at someone in the boat that's pretty rocky and say, yeah, if you would have. I don't know. That's why one of the schools I visited a while back, a guy said, Phil, he said, the truth is we're going to have worriers and deniers. I said, what? He said, some people are super worried about COVID and some people don't think it's a big deal. He says, if the worriers shame the deniers because they're not wearing their mask right, if the deniers mock the worriers because they're wearing their mask in the car by themselves, this thing's going to blow up. But I said, imagine if we could create a culture where we We treat each other with love and grace. And I said, tell me more. And we talked about what happens when we assume the best intent. Yeah, think about that. When I see somebody, I don't know the whole story. Well, one of the things one of my clients taught me was at our school, this little school in Colorado, we as a staff said, what would happen if we all assumed the best intent? I said, well, tell me more. And she says, well, I had a teacher in a class last year teaching, and every day for a week, he took his kids outside. We teach English. You can't teach outside all week. And finally on Friday, she asked him, she goes, why are you teaching outside? And he said, well, the heater in my classroom's stuck at like 110. It's just, and they've been trying to get it fixed. And so I do about 10 minutes in class and we go outside. It's been terrible. And she goes, oh, I'm sorry. We could have switched periods. I could have taught one period, you taught the other inside, or maybe every other day. He said, yeah, but they got the part. They're going to get it fixed this weekend. She said, he walked off like it was no big deal. And she said, why did I assume the worst of him, that he was slacking? And as she shared that, I realized I didn't grow up with that mindset. My mom was a dust bowler, moved from Oklahoma to Bakersfield when she was 4 years old. They worked in those work camps. And some of you have family history like that. Could be some of you from Oklahoma go, where was it? And it's a little place called Durant, Southeast Oklahoma. And when they got there, she grew up in those work camps, which were really tough. So she didn't teach us to assume the best. She said, protect your stuff. In fact, one time she told told me and my wife, I think you tell your kids you love them too much. I said, what do you mean? She says, hey, don't take it for granted. And I was like, well, so that was the mindset I grew up in. So I started thinking about assume the best intent. And it was this shift. And, you know, it's released a lot of stress for me, because used to be when I would speak and I'd see someone step out of the room, I'm like, oh man, I'm not doing a good job. They're not engaged. Sometimes I get a chance to talk to them, find out, no, they just had to step out for 5 minutes to tell the air conditioning person where the hide key was, or just these little things. And what I've learned is 99 out of 100 times, and sometimes more than that, when I hear the story, I'm like, wow, thank you for even coming when you could, or whatever it is. Well, what would happen is we as community members just said, you know, I'm going to have the mindset of I'm going to assume the best intent, because man, all of a sudden it gives that person grace. It gives them the benefit of the doubt. And on occasion, if really they took advantage of the situation, well, maybe that's them. Maybe that's, but man, it sure releases me. And I wonder how many are sitting here thinking, yeah, because some of us have kids, some of us have grandkids, some of y'all have neighbors, you have relatives. And as Rotarians, how powerful would it be if we were the people that say, oh man, I love it when she walks in the room. It's so cool when he walks in the room. Because, you know, someone asked me a while back, tell me about one of your dreams. I said, man, I want to travel. I want to learn to play the guitar. I want to be an amazing grandpa. I got 5 grandkids now. Chris, can you believe that? I was 5 years old when you met me, right? Maybe about 20. But the truth is that I got these, and I want to be amazing grandpa. And someone said, well, what does that mean? I said, well, some people grew up with a grandparent who was judgment. And they just told them what they were doing wrong. I want to be the grandparent when my 7th grade grandkid walks in with blue hair on one side and purple on the other. I'm like, that looks great. When they get their first tattoo, they call it body art. I'm like, hey, I'm going to get one to match. Like, grandpa. But, you know, right now when they're little kids, every time I send them home, I give them a puppy and a Mountain Dew, say, hey, see you next time. And their parents like, no. But I want to be that grandparent that instead of judging them, I just love them. Their parents' job is to raise them. I just wonder, because see, there's so many little things coming up right now. There's this thing called cancel culture, where if you and I don't agree, I'm just going to unfriend you. If you and I don't agree, then I'm just not going to talk to you anymore. I won't text you. I won't call you. That's what some kids are doing right now. And some of you are like, kids, man, my child's 45 and they're you know, I don't know where the age is for that, but we all laugh about things that kids do today. They're so different. But if you go back to when you and I were kids, the stuff we did, our parents kind of laughed. They said, oh, kids these days. I mean, you see someone sagging their pants. They're walking through the mall. They're walking downtown and their pants are falling off. And we look at our spouse or our friend and go, what's up with that? Do we understand that kid's just trying to fit in with his group of friends? That's what they're trying to do. When you see someone who spent more money on body art than they did on their car, understand that's something that matters to them. There's all these little things that I could be judgmental about. But then I hear the story and go, yeah, I remember when I was a kid. And some of you are laughing at, oh, I hope the kids never go back and did what we did in the 60s or 70s or whatever it was. If you know John Mellencamp's song, Cherry Bomb, he talks about, yeah, when one of the guys had to pull me aside and talk to me about something I was doing. He said, now we look back and we laugh at that. And I wonder how many are sitting here going, yeah, sometimes we laugh. Sometimes we wonder what we used to do in those fields of Sheridan, or maybe I had a buddy that grew up in Roseville. He said, man, we used to do some crazy stuff outside of town. And now there's houses out there. You've been to West Park High School? You guys got a new high school coming. You think about, yeah, we used to do this, and kids are doing their version. How can I, as a grandparent or community member, just look and say, you know what, we'll have our turn, and they're going to look back. See, that's what I want to do. If there's this cancel culture, or there's this, well, you know, Grandma, I don't talk on the phone anymore, but I'll text you. Here's another version you have. I don't know if you guys ever thought about this. It's called a video text. You just put your camera on your video, turn it around so it's looking at you, and you just talk to them for, 30, 40 seconds, and then you send it as a text. It's so funny because it's so rare. People just don't do it very much. Every time I do it, people are like, that's so cool. Well, imagine if you did that. Your grandkid or your friend, your neighbor, whoever you're talking to, maybe the 16-year-old kid's like, check this out, man. My neighbor, she's 44. When did she learn that? Some of you are cracking up going, yeah. Because think about it. 2 years ago, did you know what Zoom was? And here we on Zoom. And the most awkward moment on Zoom is when we reach out and we try to leave the meeting. Watch today what you look like when you try to hit the leave meeting, because you have to hit it twice. And we all have this weird look, and we all laugh at each other, and just, that's part of the new culture. Another thought, and I thought this, a friend of mine shared this with me, is how do we hold space for one another? When I asked her, I said, what do you mean, Mari, by holding space? She said, Phil, we all come to our own understanding at a different time. I said, tell me more. She says, okay, take any topic. She says, she used the Colin Kaepernick and kneeling down thing. She goes, when I first saw him do this, I had this whole expression. A couple years later, through this, I had a different expression. Well, we'll take that out and put almost anything. Growth in Lincoln. Some of you say, no, we want to keep our small town. And then now you're looking at some of the benefits of, yeah, well, this is cool. Almost any topic we can take. And one of us says, let's do this. And someone else says, I'm not sure. Well, the idea of holding space is, what if instead of me trying to talk my neighbor into something, I just listen. And I listen and hear until they say, what do you think? Because I can promise you this, my kids who are 35, 34, and 32, they don't call me for advice very often. And when I try to give it to them without them asking, all of a sudden they get another phone call or this, and all of a sudden there's like this noise in the background, like, oh, Dad, something's weird. But you know what's so funny is when they call and say, hey, you know what? I'm thinking about this. What do you think? And I pause to see if they are asking the question or if they're just saying the words. And when all of a sudden I realize they pause, they want to know. And then I share. And I'm like, well, here's what I think. Buying a house right now, even though the interest rate is only 3%, but prices are super high, I don't know. They're like, yeah, but Dad, if I don't buy now, I said, well, okay, I remember 2001, I remember 2008, I remember, and that's just my perspective. Why don't you ask some of your friends? And here's the deal. I try never to call them and say, hey, what'd you figure out? I wait for them to call and say, yeah, this is what I decided. That's my version of holding space. Well, how do we do that as community leaders? Because see, that's who I'm talking to today. I'm talking to community leaders, people who are really having an impact, who are making a difference. And you might think, no, I'm just the chairman of this committee or this committee. But here's the deal, maybe the 5 or 6 people that you work with or the 12 people that you work with, they're watching. In fact, do me a favor, put your thumb like this, please. Let's try this on Zoom. Everybody just hold your thumb up. I can see a few of you. Put your pointer finger against your thumb just like this. All right, and on 3, I'm going to ask you to do what I tell you to do. 1, 2, 3, put your hand on your chin, okay? Your chin is right down here, okay? Yeah, now most of you put it up on your cheek, right? Well, here's the deal. Why'd you put it on your cheek? Because you watched me. Use your other hand. It's a little bit smarter, okay? Use the other hand. On 3, do what I ask you to do. 1, 2, 3, put your hand on your chin. Yeah, how many got the chin that time? How many in your brain were going chin, 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 chin? Here's what I realized. I realized that we watch a lot more than we listen. How many of you had a mom who said, don't do as I do as I say? And you laugh, go, oh, Mom, that's not how it works. Because as parents, we're just living life and these kids are watching us. Well, what happens if we just say, you know what? I just want to assume the best. And then if I can hold space until somebody gets their own understanding, whether it's my neighbor who, you know what? when you leave your garbage can out all week because you're just going to take the dump the garbage there, and the rest of the neighbors are like, what? You know, maybe at some point they'll see it in another neighborhood. Yeah, we're going to drag our cans in. I don't know what the example is, but I bet almost every one of you could fill one in. Maybe something you're struggling with now to hold space. And so I want to finish with this last story, because I just want you to hear so clearly how much I appreciate who you are and what you're doing. I want to hear it for all the people who do appreciate you, but don't get a chance to say thank you, who don't find you after their kid plays at Rotary Park and say, hey, you're a Rotarian. Thank you so much. How many of those kids that come back from Ryland, they're thankful, but their parents who see the change in their life never get a chance to catch up with you and say, hey, thank you for covering the cost of that. And so this story, guy got a chance to go work art history for a conference. It was just a 2-week conference in Greece. And he said it was awesome. Only 10 people in the class. Every day we met from 9 to noon with this professor who grew up right there in Athens. And then we'd go to lunch with him, and he would wander us around town talking to us about all the cool stuff with history and art in his city. And the class ended, and we were all packing up, getting ready to go. And he said, are there any last questions? He said, before I knew it, I had my hand up. And he said, yeah. And he said, could you please tell us the meaning of life? And everybody kind of laughed, thinking, oh, yeah, great joke. And the professor said, yes, actually, I can. And we stopped, and he said, we all looked at him. So he just reached in his jacket pocket and pulled out a little wallet. He unfolded it, took a piece of cloth out, unwrapped it, and there was a small piece of glass. He said, guys, when I was a little kid growing up here in Athens, we didn't have toys. We were so poor, we would find a box, a ball, a stick. We would play for hours with something we found. Well, one day, 2 scooters were passing each other too close, and they clipped mirrors. And when they did, the glass shattered, and we ran into the streets. The scooters didn't stop. We ran and grabbed those little bits of mirror. And you got to realize, we didn't really have mirrors in our home. Maybe our mom had one to see her hair. But he said, this was awesome. We're looking at each other, we're laughing, and then a little bit later, the sunlight flashed against that little piece of mirror. And he said, I was like, this is cool. And it started flashing sunlight off that mirror everywhere. By the time my papa came home for dinner that night, I was flashing sunlight into a mouse hole under the stairs. He said, Papa, look, look, look. He said, I can flash this sunlight into that dark hole. So my papa patted me on the back, said, that's a good thing, son. You can reflect light into dark places. Very nice. And he walked up the stairs. He said, I never forgot those words. Today, the meaning of my life is to reflect light into dark places. And he said, I'm glad you asked. I hope that I've reflected a little light in your lives. And he folded up that wallet, put it in his pocket, grabbed his bag, and walked out. He said, we sat there stunned, realizing, wow. So I just want to look you in the eye and say thank you for reflecting light into so many different places. Whether it's that parent that takes that child to the playground, whether it's that community member who loses a loved one and you guys maybe fund some of their funeral expenses. Maybe it's that business that you guys are talking about. It's so cool, let's support them. So many ways that you as Rotarians lean into people's lives. And as we heard at the beginning of the meeting, maybe someone who has a mental illness just needs the support cleaning up their yard. There's so many ways that you're reflecting that light. And so Chris, Wyatt, thank you for having confidence that I could speak to you guys today. But each one of you Rotarians, I'm applauding, clapping, cheering for you for the impact that you have every day, every week, every month, and every year on your town, your community that you love so much. It's a privilege. Thank you all so much for who you are, what you do. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Fantastic. That was great.
Good job, Phil.
Yes. Yeah. And I have to say, I everything you said, I kind of hung on to every word. I really enjoyed that so much. And the energy that you bring to what you talk about, I'm ready to go run like 10 miles right now. I'm just so jacked.
Come to Ryland, see him in action too.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for your passion and your appreciation of others. It comes just so vividly through. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, very true. Yeah, lots of good tidbits for a good life too. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anyone have any questions for Phil? Or any other comments? Well, Phil, thank you very much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. And if anyone has anything, if not, we'll sign off and then we'll talk next Thursday at noon.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank
Thank
Phil.
you,
Be sure to
Phil.
look after the look when you're
And
leaving.
Chris, thanks for convincing him to come talk to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't
Absolutely.
take much to convince him.
This was awesome. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you all.
Awesome.
Have a great week.
Thanks,
Thank
you
you.
too, Brian.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody. Be safe.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Take care.